On behalf of the organization and our board, it is my pleasure to welcome you to our Innovators SAMCEDA 2015 Awards of Excellence, honoring San Mateo County companies for their innovation and entrepreneurship. We have a distinguished group of award recipients this year, including LeClair, who is this year's David D. Bohannon Memorial Award recipient. I want to start by, okay. I want to start by thanking our Platinum Chairman Circle members. All of our sponsors are what helps to make these events work. So I want to start in I think there's a slide that will come up as well, but regardless, and the Chairman Circle members, they consistently step up to support SAMCEDA in a variety of ways. And if there's a representative from the organization, if you could just stand up and be recognized, because we really do appreciate your being here. BKF Engineers, Bank of America. Come on, I know BKF's here, I know Bank of America is here. Thank you. Bay Meadows Land Company. Bohannon Development, Hillsdale Shopping Center. The County of San Mateo, which I thought I saw back over there. Facebook. Genentech. Google. Lucille Packard Children's Hospital, Stanford. Oracle, PG&E, San Francisco International Airport, Samtrans and Caltrain, Sequoia Hospital, a Dignity Health member, Wells Fargo, sounds like a who's who of Silicon Valley. And I also want to thank our corporate sponsors. Again, their support helps to make this event the highly successful event it is. The Brisbane Baylands Universal Paragon Corporation, Cargill, City of South San Francisco, Comcast, Embarcadero Capital Partners, Equity Office, Hanson Bridget, Hartnett Smith and Patco, Kaiser Permanente, Mills Peninsula Health Services, a Sutter Health affiliate, Recology San Mateo County, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do this, but Rocket Fuel, who is a past winner of this award. But no hints to the current awardees, but we'd love to have you as members. San Mateo Credit Union and Spare the Air Employer Program. We're also excited to have two media sponsors, I can't read my own writing, San Francisco Business Times and the Peninsula TV. And today's program is being filmed by Penn TV for viewing on Comcast 26, Astound 27, and Universe 99. I know there's a lot of the SAMCEDA board members here in the audience, so would the members, the officers and directors of the SAMCEDA board please rise so we can thank you appropriately. I really do have the pleasure of working with an extremely dedicated board of directors, and I appreciate all of their contributions to not only SAMCEDA, but to our county. And I want to thank the elected officials that are here. And I'm not sure, okay. Do I have an well, hopefully this list is updated. So if I've missed you, I'll catch you in a little bit. Because we really appreciate the strong partnership that SAMCEDA has been able to attain with state, regional, and local governments. So here are the people that I think are here. And if you're here, please stand. the Honorable Adrian Tissier from the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors, the Honorable Juan Ragosa, the Controller for the County of San Mateo, the Honorable Catherine Carlton from the City of Menlo Park, the Honorable Maureen Frechette, the Mayor of the City of San Mateo, the Honorable Rich Garbarino, the Mayor of the City of South San Francisco, the Honorable Sue DeGree, the Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Pacifica, the Honorable David Canapa, the Council Member from the City of Daly City, the Honorable Pradip Gupta, Council Member from the City of South San Francisco, the Honorable Carol Matsumoto, Council Member, City of South San Francisco, the Honorable Shelley Mazur, Trustee from the Redwood City School District, former Mayor of San Jose, Ron Gonzalez, the Honorable Don Horsley from the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors. And then I know we have some representatives from some of our federal and state legislators. And so I would like to, if there's a representative here from Congresswoman Anna Eshoo, who and our federal and state legislators have prepared proclamations and certificates for today's award recipients. I know that Brian Perkins is here from Congresswoman Jackie Spears' office. Mario Rendon from Assemblymember Kevin Mullen. Mark Hirschman from State Senator Jerry Hill. I haven't seen Carol Groom, but I know that Carol Groom is president of the board from San Mateo County, signed the certificates and the proclamations. And we also received proclamations from the cities of San Mateo, Menlo Park, and Redwood City. So thank you all very much. It is now my pleasure to introduce the incomparable CEO of SAMCEDA, Roseanne Faust.
You are great. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. So I also want to thank one more elected official that was able to change his schedule so he could be with us here today. And I'm personally appreciative because he's from my hometown, Mayor Jeff G. Redwood City. Is everyone excited? Because I am. Hello, folks. Excited? Woo! Let's talk a few minutes about who SAMCEDA is. We were founded in 1953 to promote business issues that enhance and sustain our quality of life and the economic prosperity of San Mateo County. But SAMCEDA is much more than that. We champion the business community. We follow public policy issues that can affect us. And we do economic research through our Economic Vitality Research and Education Foundation. SAMCEDA is also a convener. If you look up on the screen, these are just some of the organizations that SAMCEDA partners with. That is one of our main goals. We reach out to all of our chambers of commerce in San Mateo County. Actually, in the Bay Area, we work with what is called the Bay Area Business Coalition, which is other economic development groups similar to SAMCEDA. We work with Jobs and Housing Coalition, the Building Industry Association. I mean, it really goes on and on. That is one of our roles that we are the most proud of being a convener. We are also a connector. So how do we do the public policy, the business champion, and the economic research? Because we connect people at all levels of business and government. Business with the community, from the California High-Speed Rail to the Caltrain Commuter Coalition to Stanford, Notre Dame, California Apartment Association, Metropolitan Transportation Commission. You know the alphabet of soup that I'm talking about. from ABAG to BACMed to BCDC, and I'm sure you could all tell me a few more. We are also a contributor. Here are the different organizations that SAMCEDA has contributed to in one way or another, whether we're a member of a Chamber of Commerce or whether we get involved with our time and our research and our board of directors and our committees from public policy to housing, land use, and transportation. We try to contribute. We try to get involved in any issue that affects San Mateo County, focusing on housing, transportation, land use, and education. We're also a communicator. How many of you received SAMCEDA 2015, our e-newsletter? Okay, I'm not seeing every hand up in the room. So if you're not receiving it, please let us know. We will make sure that you are all on it, because what we do, we don't just talk about SAMCEDA issues in our SAMCEDA 2015. We talk about issues that you'll see with different organizations that might affect your particular business. We highlight our member companies. We try to be a voice for all the folks out there that want to get their information out. So now I want to move into why we're all here today. And as I was preparing, San Mateo County is an amazing place. In preparing for today, I thought about our 20 cities. I thought about the coast side, I thought about the Bay, but most importantly, I thought about many of you. I have the privilege to know many of you and to work with you. And I consider that just an honor to work with people here in San Mateo County, Santa Clara County, and the Bay Area. But it's the people I was thinking about. Because to quote our Innovators logo for this year, the most important innovators often don't need any technologies, just imagination and acute sensitivity to people's needs. The companies that we're honoring today reflect the broad spectrum of innovation, entrepreneurship, and an imagination, with an acute awareness to what people need in today's changing landscape. Every day, we hear about a new data breach that affects all areas of our lives: personal, professional, economic, healthcare, and so much more. AlienVault's focus is on threat detection and response, using a unified platform combining 5 key security capabilities with expert threat intelligence. Each of the award winners is going to come up here and tell you more about their specific company. But I wanted to give you a flavor of all 6 of them, because we really live in a special place, and to hear them and to see their slides and see what they're going to present to you today, I think you're going to walk out of here, like many of you have walked out in previous years, with your shoulders back and your head high saying, I live in San Mateo County. This is a great place, and we should be so proud of our companies and support them. Inflection creates platforms to build trust across different forms of communication and keep our identities safe. That is so important, because I'm sure many of you might have received a letter in the mail from Anthem just over the weekend about the data breach. Not meaning to call out just one company, because there's other. If you have a Target card, I think the list can go on and on. EcoFactor. How many of you are familiar with EcoFactor and the fact that they can take all of your energy systems in your home and get the data to help you better manage it? You're going to hear more about EcoFactor. Lumiata. Listen to what I'm going to say. Lumiata combines big data with brilliant physicians and medical science to deliver practical and personalized analytics in real time and scale. How many of us thought 10 years ago that we would have this capability? Anyone? Are we all awake here? Just want to make sure. Want a little audience like, woohoo, engagement, and so when they get up here, let's go with it. because otherwise I'm going to have to ask somebody to come up and, I don't know, do a dance. GuideSpark recognized that companies are growing so rapidly and employee communications are critical. With employers hiring the number of employees that they are, San Mateo County's unemployment rate as of February 2015, 3.5%. So these companies need to communicate efficiently and effectively with their organization. GuideSpark's going to tell us how they do that. And then WageWorks. WageWorks client list reads like Fortune 100, since 58 of the Fortune 100 are actually their clients, and 224 of the Fortune 500 are WageWorks clients, and they do consumer-directed benefit programs. So anything related to your benefit programs, that's what WageWorks is going to talk about. So now we get to hear from each of our innovators for 2015. Following our innovator presentation, it is so wonderful, this year's Bohannon Award winner, Ann LeClair. And you will hear from Ann, and Scott Bohannon will be doing the award presentation, but I would like to bring up our first innovator and give them a rousing San Mateo County welcome, AlienVault.
How do I do the slides? The slides just forward. Okay. Thank you. It's certainly an honor to be here, and I promise for the rest of the presenters I'll set the bar low, being the first one up here today. So I'd like to spend a few minutes, I think we have roughly about 5-6 minutes, talking to you about AlienVault. And the thing I will tell you, it's the first company I've worked for where my children are actually proud to maybe wear a t-shirt with the logo, because we do have a very cool logo and company name. We are in the security space, which we'll talk a little bit more. And I actually work in the area of business development for AlienVault, which involves technology partnerships, as well as working with some of our larger customers. And I've been at AlienVault about a year and a half, so I'll give you a good perspective on what we're up to. So we are in the security software market. It's a very big market. I guess the reference, I got a letter from Anthem over the weekend as well. We use Anthem for our healthcare provider, but it's a big market, it's growing. There's a lot of different pieces of the security market, and I'll tell you a little bit about how we fit into that. But despite all the spending, which is a problem, I think, for people making security products, on the right-hand side of the chart, we're still seeing a lot of breaches. So despite the billions and billions of dollars that are being spent, the bad guys are still getting in. So the industry is doing a lot to kind of work on this phenomena. And you'll see in a second where we focus is an area where we call the detection market, which we think is very important. So just a little bit of history here. You know, for the longest time, what people did in security was they built a perimeter around their business. Think of that, if you want to use the analogy of your house, you might have a locked fence or locks on your door or bars on your window. So in the sort of computer infrastructure world, people bought firewalls and other devices with the goal of keeping the bad guy out. So if the bad guy tried to get into your business, these devices were designed to look at the network traffic and stop them in their tracks, literally. But what's happened is the attackers have gotten much more sophisticated, and when you combine that with people inside the company sometimes doing bad things, people still get in. That's why Anthem and Target and JP Morgan have problems. I mean, these companies have invested billions of dollars in keeping the bad guys out, yet the bad guys still get in. So a couple quotes here, and so what's happened now is people are still spending the money on the keeping the bad guys out, but there's now more emphasis on saying, okay, if the bad guys get in, what can we do about figuring out sooner rather than later that they're in and stopping them there? And that's kind of what we focus on at AlienVault. So you can think about the security industry broadly as in three pieces: people that focus on prevention or keeping the bad guys out, people that focus on detection, which is figuring out once the bad guys have gotten in, what do you do about it? And then there's the response, which is, okay, you found a bad guy inside, how do we fix or remediate the solution? So we very much focus on the detection side. And just to complete the analogy of the house, you can think about if you've got your fences, your locks, your bars on your windows, yet somebody gets in. What our software does is try to detect, okay, is somebody playing with maybe the combination lock on your safe? Is somebody opening a drawer they shouldn't be opening? So we're kind of that motion detector inside the house. And so for a business or an enterprise, if somebody gets in and they have our software installed, our software is looking for things as simple as, okay, John Doe is at his computer, but he didn't badge in from the computer security side. And so we correlate those two events, and we say, okay, there may be a problem here, and we flip up an alert and have the security monitoring staff go off and look at it. And so it obviously gets much more sophisticated than that. We look for things like, did passwords change? Is there unusual data flowing out of the system relative to what it did this time last week? So it's all about this monitoring detection of the bad guy once they get in. And obviously, in a perfect world, the bad guy wouldn't get in, but we know that's just not going to happen going forward. The other thing that's interesting about our company is that on the left-hand side, the Fortune 1000, they're the ones spending these billions of dollars, and they've got the ability to buy every security software product under the sun, and also hire professional services staff to put it all together and build kind of the best internal security system possible. The mid-market customer doesn't have that luxury. They don't have big security staffs. They can't go out and spend the money on buying a lot of products and stitching them all together. So the uniqueness of what AlienVault does and why we're seeing success in the market is we target our solution at the mid-market. And so we put a lot of functionality together. We stitch it all together. We make it very easy to use and deploy, very nice graphical user interface, so that the mid-market now has an affordable solution. It's almost like security for the little guy in terms of what the big guy does. So that's really kind of how we focus the business today. Just a little bit about the company. We are obviously based here in San Mateo in the Crossroads buildings up here right at 92 and 101. We also have offices in Austin, Texas, and a couple offices in Europe. We're about 200 people now. This time last year we were about 100, so a lot of good growth. We'll probably be looking for more real estate here shortly. And we're backed by what I call a pretty blue chip roster of Silicon Valley investors, a company called Trident Capital, Intel Capital, GGV, and Kleiner Perkins as well. So today we've got roughly about 1,500 customers. We actually have a free version of our product it's an open source version, and we have another 15,000 people using that. So what happens over time is people using the open source version, which has a little bit less functionality, decide they like it and they upgrade to the paying version as well. The team, very good executive team, a lot of people from big companies all across the industry. Most have been in place for several years, so very stable and seasoned executive team as well. I talked a little bit about the investors we have, really a blue chip roster. In fact, these are some of the who's in terms of people who back security companies. In addition to this, we have Ken Goldman, who's the CFO of Yahoo, on our board as well. So a very good board level executive presence to go with the management team as well. I talked a little bit about this. This is probably a little bit too much. I asked our press people not to put the slide in, but it just talks about kind of what we do and the notion that we're trying to provide a simpler, more integrated product for the mid-market company. And then we do have a few large companies, but I thought we'd put this up and just show you. It's kind of an interesting mix of companies. We have like credit unions. We have Pandora, the music service as well, 24-hour fitness. A lot of companies in the security business, that they flash this slide, they would show Goldman Sachs, they would show JP Morgan, they would show Target, but we're much more focused on what we call the mid-market, because for every Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, there's probably 1,000 mid-market companies or credit unions that would find interest. And I learned today one of our colleague companies today is a customer today, so hopefully we're in good standing there as well. So. And then the reason, actually, just to come back to a little bit why customers buy our product, it really is about this notion of threat detection. A bad guy has gotten into the system, and they want the ability to detect what that bad guy is doing, how long they've been in the system. Because generally, if somebody gets in, it does take them some time to kind of work their way around and do the bad things. So if you've got software and technology that can alert you that somebody's in, you usually have enough time to do remediation. And that's kind of where we focus today. And a lot of good buzz. I guess our press people really got a hold of this one. So anyway. So in summary, you know, our real kind of novel thing is this new approach to security for what we call the large, underserved mid-market, people that couldn't afford this capability before. You know, a lot of functionality put in the product, so, you know, out of the box you can have your monitoring up and running. We provide a lot of, I didn't touch upon this, but we have this notion of threat intelligence. Is we have a lot of work that goes on to figure out where the bad guys are and what they're doing, and we provide that information into our product. And then the other big thing we do is the open source product we have is a big contributor to building the sort of loyal sense of community around our product. So I think that's it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy Johnson, Vice President of Corporate Communications. We are now going to bring up Rodrigo Sanchez, Vice President of Marketing for EcoFactor.
Thank you. Firstly, thank you to SAMCEDA for this award, and just want to touch very briefly about EcoFactor and some of the things that we do. EcoFactor, we're in the business of transforming how people and homes use energy, and we do it by applying smart analytics as a service to very mundane, everyday objects such as thermostats. Our solution essentially ingests data from different devices in the home, such as thermostats. We pair it with weather data. We pair it with data about how users are using our system in our app and our different places. And we use all of that to help make decisions on behalf of the user in ways that hopefully will allow them to save money while also find that balance point and you know, still obviously keep their lifestyle and their comfort. We work with utilities, and we also work with MSOs and cable companies. So you have seen advertisement for Xfinity Home. We are the intelligence behind their EcoSaver product. One of our largest deployments today is in Nevada, where we control about 25,000 homes and 35,000 thermostats. In Nevada, we've actually taken it to a point where the utility considers these thermostats, these homes, as a resource. Essentially, they are negative demand, which is the same as supply. And so during the summer, the hottest days of the year in Las Vegas, they're able to call what are known as demand response events, which is at peak times, we can actually dramatically reduce how the thermostats use energy, which again works as a virtual power plant and devolves that energy back to the utility, saves them the cost of having to put in a peaker plant or other things. What the users get in return is the savings from the service. So if you think about how we're set up, is as great as technology is today, and this plethora of Internet of Things devices that are out there, and amazing technologies such as IFTT, the if this then that app, etc., they still put a lot of the burden on the user to manage them. And so, you know, you buy these devices, you set up a schedule, you make a guess about how is this best going to work for me and my family, but the minute you created it, it becomes obsolete because life intervenes, right? School, family, errands, visitors, et cetera, they tend to disturb this original intention that you had of creating a schedule for yourself and your connected devices. And so what we do essentially is that, again, we're listening in the background and we're consuming all this data about the behavior from all these devices, up to 500,000 data points per year per device. We apply data science to it, and we essentially either provide automation from the perspective of, you know, we'll say, hey, today at 10 a.m., it may be a good time to turn up your thermostat from 72 to 73 for 20 minutes. And if the user likes that or doesn't dislike it, then we learn from that and we apply learnings, and we apply that same strategy maybe the next day, et cetera, et cetera. That small adjustment, that sort of small but steady adjustment of how these devices are run for you in your life result, like I said before, in $100 savings for users in Las Vegas and similar results in other places. And to me, that's an application of technology to a very big problem, which unfortunately is not very top of mind for most people. Now, I grew up in Mexico. So for me, blackouts and brownouts were just part of daily life, right? We even had a drawer where you could find the candles at night. I look at my children grow here, that were born here, and for them, and I'm sure for a majority of the people here in the audience, energy consumption is about at the same level cognitively as breathing. You don't even think about it. It's just there. There's a study by McKinsey, which is quoted a lot by O-Power, that most consumers spend about 10 minutes a year thinking about energy, which when you think about it, it's the second highest disposable income item on most people's lists. And so it's the thing that we spend the money in the most thoughtless way possible. And so we're in the business of trying to say, okay, we'll think about it for you because it's a bother. We'll just do it so you can actually get on with your life, and we'll devolve some of that time to you to actually work on the important things. And so just to summarize and finish off, if you look at the motivation of why we do what we do, is obviously we are all very excited to working in this technology and this cutting edge, applying cutting edge technologies to a very significant problem, but also some good comes out of it, right? I mean, just if you think about our results, what we did in Las Vegas, this infographic tries to maybe put it in different context to say it's the same as taking cars off the road. LBNL had this study that said that the cheapest form of energy generation is energy efficiency at 3 cents per kilowatt hour, sorry. And that's what we're in the business of providing. I kind of raced to that, so that's all I had today. I don't know if you guys have any questions or. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rodrigo Sanchez, Vice President of Marketing for EcoFactor.
Great. Thank you, President. Great. Thank you very much. It's great to be here with such great companies here in San Mateo County. So GuideSpark, as Roseanne talked about, is really helping organizations communicate more effectively with employees. Oh, there you go. Communicate more effectively with employees. And at high level, the problem that we're really trying to solve is the problem of employee engagement. So some of you may have seen this slide here from Gallup about how 2/3 of employees are not really engaged at work. And workers identify with that, employers identify with that, but as you see at the bottom there, only 12% of employers are actually doing something actively to improve engagement. And it's causing a pretty large problem. It's estimated to be about $36 billion a year in lost productivity from the lack of engagement by employees. And if you look at this 26K, it's about productivity loss from poor communications. Okay? So what GuideSpark is really here to do is to help companies communicate more effectively with their employees and build up engagement. And the question is, why is there a need for a company like GuideSpark today? And the reason is the way employees and consumers get information and communicate has changed dramatically in the last 5 years. Hopefully you've seen this stat. YouTube now delivers 6 billion hours of video per month. Think about that. YouTube's not even 10 years old. And that's only one of a variety of sites. So the way people are consuming information in the last 5 to 10 years has changed dramatically. What about mobile? 2/3 of all US adults have a smartphone. And just to set context again, the iPhone, which really launched the smartphone revolution, launched in 2007. So it's a little over 7 years old, right? And I'm pretty sure 100% of the people in this room probably have a smartphone, right? So it's dramatically changed how people access information and content. And the last one, everybody talks about the millennial generation. So it's predicted this year the millennials will be the largest workforce. And if you think about that, millennials probably don't remember a time when they were not connected, right? And they're replacing baby boomers who didn't have a computer until well into their career. So a dramatic change in the generation of employee that we're going to be facing over the next few years. So these trends are really causing organizations a challenge in how to communicate and reach people when in their consumer and personal lives, it's completely different than the traditional methods. So if you think about it, what GuideSpark is really doing is transforming the traditional communications, which are employee manuals. Does every organization have an employee manual? How about a brochure that's sent out during benefits open enrollment? Okay, how about the 4-hour new hire PowerPoint presentation, right? Those are all the traditional ways of communicating that people have really used consistently for the last 10, 20, employee manuals the last 50 years. And so what GuideSpark is helping organizations do is really transform those communications to video, mobile, and interactive experiences. And the key is customized for each organization, right? Because there's certainly video out there, right? So people have video, but they're oftentimes generic. And that doesn't do anybody value, right? You at your organization, you want information that's customized around your benefit plans, your compensation plans, your performance management plans. And so what GuideSpark does is to create these kinds of experiences very, very cost effectively. Okay. Now, I'll also show a little slide around our companies and our customers. One of the interesting things about our customer base is the breadth of our customers. So our smallest customer, I think, is 67 employees, and our largest are Fortune 10 organizations. And they also span almost every industry. And we did a little study here for San Mateo County, just to give you a little bit idea of kind of the diversity of our client base. So one of our customers is the County of San Mateo, so thank you, San Mateo County. But we have a construction company, we have a financial services company, we have a food service company, we have a consumer electronics company, we have an airline, and we have certainly some of the biggest high-tech and biotech firms here in San Mateo County. So just in San Mateo County, if you think about that, we have all different sizes of customers in all different industries. And that's because, luckily for us as a company, every company needs to communicate with their employees. And almost all of them are struggling to do it effectively. And that's what's really driven our opportunity and our growth. So here's our slide put by our press people as well to give you an idea of GuideSpark. So we have created a software as a service solution. So we are a technology company that integrates not only a software platform, but customized content for every one of our customers. It's driven tremendous growth for us recently. Like AlienVault, we're 200 people. 2 years ago, we were around 20. So we've had tremendous growth. Again, I think driven by the need for companies to communicate in a much, much different way than they have done traditionally. Won a couple of awards, and now added SAMCEDA's Innovators Award. So what I thought I'd do is just show you a quick snippet video, just 30 seconds, to give you an idea of what we've done. Imagine this as probably sent to you as a postcard, now as a short little video.
Think your benefits can go on the back burner? Time to change your thinking, because that's a total myth. Busted. Reality is, open enrollment is your small window each year to tackle your benefits. It's also when Discovery announces our big changes for the coming year. And this year, you don't want to let it pass you by. Actively participating in open enrollment can mean the difference between being stuck with a plan that's wrong for you and your wallet for an entire year, or finding one that's the perfect fit. Open enrollment runs from October 28th.
Okay, so that just gives you a little bit of idea of what we've done. Typically, if you think about someone trying to communicate that, it was a brochure or a little postcard sent to you, right? In this, which is customized for Discovery Communications, I don't know if you watch Discovery Channel with the Mythbusters, but obviously it's for their employees, so they wanted to use their branding to make it a lot more engaging and really connect the company with their employees in a much more, hopefully, digestible, easy way. You can watch it on a smartphone. You can watch it whenever you want. You can share it with your family members at home. And so it's really those kinds of applications that are really driven the growth for GuideSpark. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you to Keith Catano, the CEO of GuideSpark. So, you 62% out in the audience that has smartphones, or is it 100% of this crowd? Pull them out, start tweeting about these companies, post it in your LinkedIn or on your Facebook. It's hashtag AOE 2015. This is your chance to pass information to your friends and colleagues on these amazing companies. Now I'd like to bring up Matt Monahan, the CEO of Inflection.
Thank you, SAMCEDA, for having us. I'm here to share a little bit about our company, Inflection. Essentially, we're all familiar with this notion of big data. What we're focused on at Inflection is specifically around identity data and the emergence of all these different unique data points that are being created about our digital identities as well as our offline identities. So what we see as a company is that there's a growing problem in identity management. There's a tremendous number of businesses, organizations, governments, consumers, individuals who are accessing our information on a daily basis for a wide range of purposes. One of the biggest challenges around that access is first accuracy, ensuring that data integrity is maintained. There's also a big emergent problem around verification and how easy it is to fake data when we're operating in the digital domain. Compliance and updating our legal frameworks to manage this space is something that is very prescient right now. And privacy is, from a consumer perspective, something we're all increasingly aware of, that we want to make sure that the access to this data is being done in a responsible manner that's protective of our individual rights. On the access side, those are some of the big problems, but then there's also the control side of things, which is, now that my data is in this digital realm and my identity information is out there, how do I get control and regain a sense of empowerment around where my information is? So identity theft is the fastest growing crime as reported by the FTC in the United States. A tremendous number of people, probably in this audience, have been subjected to some sort of identity theft, sometimes unknowingly. The data breaches that we're familiar with, Anthem was mentioned, have continued to increase at an alarming pace. And there's a sense of lack of safety that businesses and organizations are being breached, and there's an unknown nature of where our information is going. Search engines are proliferating information out, and there's new work being done in the EU around this notion of right to be forgotten, which has stirred the pot a lot in terms of what is the responsible way in which companies like Google and consumers who want to control their results in search engines, what does that relationship look like, and how does that technology really fit? And then lastly, our reputations. We are witnessing the emergence of a sharing economy, a collaborative economy, where we're transacting with one another in offline manners as stewarded and brought about through software. And so the notion that our reputations are more portable and that we have control of how we're being perceived is a very important trend. So at Inflection, we've been in this space for a number of years, and essentially we've built a platform that powers a variety of point solutions to deal with the access and control of identity information. So we have a business called Good Hire, which is for employment screening and how organizations access identity data as it relates to screening employees. We have identity protection solution called Identity Smart to help consumers get alerted if there are threats to their identity data. We have a new product that we've been just now launching called Identity.com, which addresses some of the issues around the portability of reputation and verification, as well as a whole suite of other solutions, including APIs, people search and public records access, and family history data as well. So a bit about our company. We started, my brother and I kicked off the company in his dorm room back in 2006. We essentially have grown since then. We're backed by Matrix Partners and Costa Nova Venture Capital, great institutional investors and board members. And we sold our family history business actually in 2012 to Ancestry.com and had a nice exit of that piece of our business. And essentially we have 250 team members now across 4 global offices. And one thing I just want to point out is that, we really take pride in our culture as a company, and we think that any success we've had is really born from a terrific team that's been assembled, and that's in no small part due to our ability to recruit some of the top talent in Silicon Valley. And we've been here in Redwood Shores for 4 years in the offices, and we see it as a very strategic central location in terms of attracting people from the East Bay and from San Francisco all the way down to the southern parts of the peninsula. So that's been really successful for us, and I just want to recognize that in today's context. You can learn more about us at inflection.com. So thank you. Thank you.
So when you have a moment, if you could take a look at the websites of each of these companies, you will find just an incredible amount of information. As you can imagine, I've been perusing them quite frequently leading up to today. And the interesting piece about Inflection is the amount of people you see on their website, real people, and just how they tell their story. So have a look at it. Now I'd like to bring up the CEO of Lumiata, Ash Donnelly.
Hello, everybody. First of all, thank you so much for having us here today. Thanks to SAMCEDA for obviously giving us the award, and thanks to Roseanne for the extraordinary kind words. To give you a little touch about who we are, we looked at the world about 5-6 years ago, seeing that there's a fundamental change that's coming about. Really what I sort of call the datafication of health. Electronic health records are coming about, sensors and wearables are coming about. We have claims, you have genetics, you have social media. And the question I asked ourselves was, it's great that we're generating all this wonderful data, but how is it helping us live better lives? How is it helping us deliver better health? And so the question we asked ourselves is, why can't healthcare as a system fundamentally become anticipatory? Why can't it be hyper-personalized to me? And why can't it always be high-valued? And that's sort of what we think about in terms of what we call predictive-first healthcare. How do we enable healthcare to be predictive first? And we had this crazy notion that maybe medical science was somewhat relevant when we looked at analytics. And the question was, how do we bring these two worlds together? How do we transform and advance the world's medical knowledge and health data so we can deliver these real-time practical insights so each of us, every day, can go ahead and receive the best care possible to live the best life possible, so that we can diagnose and manage, prevent, and predict 100x faster at 1/10 the cost. Not only here in the US, but really worldwide. How do we change the world? If Google changed the way we search, Facebook changed the way we connect, how can we change the way we care? And when we really think about it, we need to be able to scale medicine. It's about the way we arrive at that place is, it's great if a doctor has 2 hours of time to spend looking at your data. The problem is they don't. They have 8 minutes or less. So how is it we can help optimize? How can we help force multiply? How can we help empower these physicians? Because they really are very brilliant, but how can we combine that analytic power and scale of big data with that brilliance of the physician so that we can go ahead and power medicine at scale? Not only for health plans or health systems, but also for each of us as an individual. How can it help me make a better choice every day? And the reason now is different than from before is we've heard about how many times that smartphones really last 7 years. We've heard a huge amount of computing power changes in the last 10 years. And fundamentally because the character of data itself has changed. The amount of data that we generate on Facebook today is literally equal to like 10 times what we did 20 years ago, right? So the fundamental question is, with that resolution, with that scale, with that tempo, what can we do about it? And what it's doing is enabling us this shift from a reactive care where we're always behind the puck to how do we get ahead of the puck in a way that's truly personalized, going from a population risk perspective to a way that's very personalized on a per disease perspective, from reactive to proactive, and looking at being able to take the best of data science and combine that with our data to really help deliver that best care, so that we can enable real-time data science to be part of every healthcare interaction in a way that's dynamic, personalized, and predictive. And so in some senses, we are a medically driven analytics platform that enables us to make sense of very large amounts of data or very small bits of data in a way that is actually practical. How can I use it? Should I go to the ER? Should I go to the urgent care? Should I get this lab test? Should I ask this question? These are very simple questions. Should I have the banana or should I have the coffee? It depends on the day and the time. One is better than the other, right? And so how do I help make these different changes? And we sort of package these insights into what we call health data stories, because that's the ways we as human beings communicate complex insights, is through stories. And fundamentally what we're trying to answer is what to do for whom, when, and why. How fast do I need to engage with this diabetic? Is it a slow, steady state increase of risk, or is it a dramatically increased amount of risk? How do and when do I do that? And how do I combine these two worlds? And to give you a touch about how we do things, if you guys remember the days of AltaVista and Lycos of the world, they would really look at the world as one document, two document, the 10 millionth document. But what did Google do that enabled that quantum leap of difference? It looked how everything connects. So it's not just about the data, but it's about how the data is connected. And that's really what we've done. And so many of we see data that looks like this in rows and rows and rows. And it's literally impossible to make sense. I mean, I get 1,000 data points about an individual. How am I in 8 minutes or less, more 2 minutes, to make sense of this? But what if we can look at this longitudinally and actually know why and how things are actually connected, right? And so frankly, when I do that, how do we project forward from that? And so we can come back into something that's very real time and meaningful. So I can sit there and say, what diagnosis is being missed if I actually look at the entire spread of this individual, and therefore be able to get that person on the right course of management? For example, someone like Mary here, who's 86, who has mitral rigor, left ventricular hypertrophy, and the labs are going in a particular direction, how can I identify as soon as possible that she's having the first stages of congestive heart failure so I get her on the right management? Because I don't want her to spend the next 3 months and have that acute event and end up in the ER, right? And how can we do so not at one, but at hundreds of thousands of people? And that's what we've done. We've done that actually over millions of people now. And actually, it's been great to see that feedback and ability to help improve people's lives. And it's by combining not only the clinical, but actually the behavioral and social. It's about understanding how I act, from a medication adherence perspective, how I interact with people, what is my social support structure, and how can I leverage all of that to predict and measure health, so I can understand what the health is going to be, the risk, and the cost, and so that we can provide the best possible care as soon as possible to deliver that. And that really helps us start understanding how is it we can jump in to understand what to do for whom, when, and why. Because I want to be before that acute event, before things progress past a certain point. Because when I do that, the benefit to each person is maximized, and the overall cost to us is actually minimized. And that's really what's allowing us to do that. You know, we've had now dealing about over 7 million plus patients in terms of data, 30 million patient years. 34,000 physician hours have gone in to make sure that we're actually learning the right things, so we're actually delivering real clinically meaningful things. We've actually, affected approximately about $1 billion of business, found about 300,000 actual diagnoses for people that actually matter. And if you really think about us as an organization, we're half physicians, half data scientists, and people who understand care delivery, with extraordinary people such as Costa Ventures, such as Sandbox Industries, and the best of the Blues and Independents, and great partners such as Google, who is helping us change the way we actually search for health on the web. So if you think about us as a team, here's a few of them. Not everyone is in the office that day, but a good-looking crowd, so-and-so. But really, half data scientists, half clinicians, bringing these two worlds together to go ahead and help us all live better lives. And so, as I said in the beginning, thank you so much for having us here today. We're honored by the award. Looking forward to how we can work with all of you. We're already working with some of the people over at AlienVault and others as well. And frankly, that's what we do. Lumiata, powering predictive healthcare at scale. Thank you very much.
So now I'd like to bring up the CEO of WageWorks, Joe Jackson.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for attending today. Thanks to SAMCEDA for such a terrific reward. And I'm very pleased to be involved with a number of other great companies in the area here. WageWorks. So I thought I'd spend a little bit of time just talking about who we are. We are a leading provider of consumer-directed benefit programs to employers throughout the country. Consumer-directed benefit programs. Think of flexible spending accounts, health savings accounts, commuter benefits, things like that. We were founded in 2000, primarily at that time as a commuter benefit administrator for employees or employers, and then later on moved into the healthcare business in the mid-2000s. The company went public in May of 2012. We're now traded on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol WAGE. We went public at a market cap of just under $300 million. If you fast forward to today, not quite 3 years later, we have a $2 billion market cap. And I'm very pleased about that, and because 1,597 employees that I'm representing here today really make that success happen. We work today with over 4 million employees throughout the country, providing administrative benefits and technology to support their pre-tax benefits and how they use them. We're a provider of choice. It was mentioned earlier that we had 58 of the Fortune 100. We had a good sales month. We're now up to 60 of the Fortune 100 that we work with on a daily basis, 47% of the Fortune 500, and over 45,000 clients in total. We're a recurring revenue business, and we're very proud of our retention rate, which is just under 97% each year. As I mentioned, we're a leader in the consumer-directed benefit space. We're a provider of on-demand tax advantage benefit programs to employers really of all sizes. Health and dependent care programs, like I mentioned earlier, flexible spending accounts, health savings accounts, health reimbursement arrangements, usually set up by employers with wellness incentives. We're the dominant player in our industry in the commuter benefit space, both transit and parking programs. We do some COBRA work for employers along with other pre-tax benefits, tuition reimbursement, gym reimbursement, things like that. The great thing about our business is it's a win-win proposition for both the employer and the employee. Every pre-tax benefit dollar that an employee elects to put into a health savings account or a flexible spending account or a commuter benefit means that that employer doesn't have to pay payroll tax on that dollar. So it's about an 8-cent savings. So these are really some of the only benefits that employers offer that actually pay them back. And obviously, the win part for the employee is they get to use those dollars to pay for their commute and parking or transportation to work, or more importantly, for out-of-pocket health care expenses, dental expenses, vision expenses that people incur every year. I tell people all the time, you know, if you think about the products that we offer, and I gave you a card at the beginning of the year, a WageWorks prepaid healthcare debit card. If you were told to use that card at a grocery store, and every time you use that card at the store, you got 35% off your bill, you'd use that card. Similar concept with out-of-pocket healthcare expenses with regard to the accounts that we administer. We have an industry-leading position as really the only provider with a scalable, integrated, proprietary platform that, as I mentioned, serves over 4 million employees throughout the country today, work with 45,000 employer clients, and as I said, our prepaid healthcare debit card is issued and used by about 4.5 million people in the US today. The company we keep. If you think of industry sectors throughout the business world today, we work with basically headline companies in each particular sector. Many people that are here today are clients of ours. So first, let me stop and say thank you to each one of you. As I tell our employees every day, we need you much more than you need us, and that's the service philosophy under which we operate. So you look at some of the headline companies there, and again, employers of all sizes, whether you have 5 employees or 500,000 employees, we work with them on a day-to-day basis. And why do people use WageWorks? Well, there's really 4 key components on why we've been successful. First and foremost, I talked about us being a service company. And we operate with a culture that demonstrates a sense of urgency to our client base. And when I talk about service at WageWorks, service at our company starts at 8 o'clock every morning with our daily management huddle. I get on the phone with my senior leadership team and all client-facing personnel. And what do? We review any business issues or escalations from our clients the day before. And if there are any, we assign ownership and accountability on that call to an individual, and then call on that individual every day until that issue is resolved. The second thing we do is we monitor our metrics under which we have performance levels that we commit to our client base. So we commit to quarterly and monthly service levels that we manage on a day-to-day basis. That's allowed us to make the key service levels that we provide to our clients every month since May of 2007. So service is very key to what we do. Second, technology and innovation. If you think about these products, whether it's a flexible spending account or a health savings account, and many people in this room have had them, you can remember years ago having to fax in receipts and mail in receipts and get checks in the mail. Well, everything that we do from a technology standpoint really has to be innovative. We really focus on how do we make the participant experience better than it was before, and how does what we do help us to continue to become more competitive from a cost standpoint. We were the first one to introduce a card. So instead of getting those little $14 checks in the mail, you could use a card to pay for out-of-pocket healthcare expenses. Employees liked that because there was no cash out of pocket. We were the first to introduce online claims. So instead of mailing or faxing this information in, you could go to your PC at home. We'd provide a pre-populated screen. You could scan and upload your receipts directly to us. We were the first to introduce mobile technology. We were the first to introduce a mobile app where now we ask people every time they use one of their accounts to simply take their smartphone, take a picture of that receipt, upload it to us, and then if that transaction ends up requiring further documentation, we'll simply go to your account, scroll through the photographs, match the receipt to the photograph, and adjudicate that transaction and pay that claim at that particular point in time. Therefore, we don't have to reach out and ask for those receipts, which can be a burdensome problem. That wins us business in the marketplace. Technology and innovation, very key to what we do. Industry leadership. When the Affordable Care Act was being negotiated in 2009, we were at the forefront in Washington. Myself and my chief compliance officer had over 120 in-person visits on Capitol Hill to make sure that people understood the value of the products that we support on behalf of employees. If you think about flexible spending accounts, there's probably 35 to 40 million of those in service today. The average salary of an individual with a flexible spending account is $55,000. So these are really key benefits that are used by middle-class workers to pay for what's increasing every year in out-of-pocket healthcare expenses. We were also involved in, especially with flexible spending accounts, many of you will remember the biggest problem and why people didn't take advantage of the product was because of that burdensome use it or lose it rule. If you didn't spend all your money in a given year, you lost it at the end of the year. It reverted back to the employer. Well, we worked with Congress and Treasury once the Affordable Care Act was passed, and in October of 2013, we were instrumental in getting Treasury to implement a $500 carryover that is now in effect on flexible spending accounts. But whether it's a flexible spending account, a health savings account, commuter benefits, we're very heavily involved in Washington and throughout the U.S. in making sure that these accounts are promoted and protected. And then finally, consumer engagement. Simply said, more people, more employees at a company take advantage of these products when you work with WageWorks than any of our competitors in the industry. Why is that? Because we really spend a lot of time and effort educating people on the value of these products, on the fact that if you don't take advantage of a flexible spending account today, you're leaving $500 of pre-tax money on the table each year. Now that the carryover provision's in place, all of us should have at least $500 set aside in a flexible spending account to pay for out-of-pocket health, vision, dental expenses each year. If you don't, you're leaving the money on the table. And we go above and beyond to educate and make sure people are aware the value of these products. And so far, if you look at the percentage of eligibles that take advantage of our products, we're head and shoulders above those in the industry today. So service, technology and innovation, industry leadership, and consumer engagement are probably four key pillars that have helped our company be successful over the last several years. So again, I wanted to say thank you to SAMCEDA. We're very honored to be presented with this award today and look forward to continuing growth and being a part of the San Mateo community. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, folks, those are your 2015 innovators. Can we please congratulate them? that you take a moment out of your day and take the time to send them an email just to say thank you for being a part of our community, for employing so many people, for making San Mateo County their home. Thank you again. Now, one of the things that SAMCEDA is very, very proud of is we don't just celebrate the future, but we honor and respect the past. And right now, I would like to bring up Scott Bohannon to present the David D. Bohannon Award of Excellence.
Okay. Thanks, Roseanne. I think I need some new Levi's. Based upon the recipients here. It's always a pleasure to present this award since it is named after my granddad, David D. Bohannon, and founder of the company that I've worked for over 30 years. Like my granddad, this winner understands that a deep commitment to the community is vital and necessary. The David D. Bohannon Award of Excellence is dedicated to the memory of David D. Bohannon, founder and past president of SAMCEDA. Each recipient has demonstrated significant leadership and success in building the local economy and contributing to the quality of life here in San Mateo County through community service and philanthropy. This year's award, of course, goes to LeClair. LeClair joined the San Mateo County Silicon Valley Convention and Visitors Bureau as president and CEO in 2000. Prior to that, she served as the vice president of the California Chamber, acting as liaison to major corporations in the state. Before joining the California Chamber, she served as president and CEO of the San Mateo County Chamber of Commerce. In the days before Ann moved to California, she worked in Washington, D.C. as a lobbyist for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and earlier as a political analyst and editor for General Motors. The automotive industry's loss was clearly our gain. Ann has served on various boards and in numerous capabilities for the California Travel Industry Association, the U.S. Chamber Institute for Organizational Management, and the Western Association of Chamber Executives. She is a graduate of Georgetown University's School of Foreign Service. Sorry about those Hoyas getting beat this weekend in the NCAA basketball tournament, Ann. And she is a certified association executive, certified designation management executive, and an accredited chamber executive. Ann is a past president and board member of the Rotary Club of San Mateo. She is married to former 49er quarterback Jim LeClair and has two grown children, Kevin and James. She is widely known for her wicked and fun sense of humor, and Ann's practical jokes keep her friends and family on their toes and all adversaries hiding in fear. I am pleased to present my granddad's award to our great friend and tireless worker, Ann LeClair.
No offense, you can tell the older people in the group, we show up with paper up here. I want to start by thanking Roseanne and the SAMCEDA board so much. This is such a special award and means so much. When Roseanne called to tell me, I have to say, I felt very embarrassed, and I still feel embarrassed. There are many people I consider so deserving of this award, far more deserving. I started to picture this room, and I thought, well, these are the people. So to make it a little easier on myself, I thought maybe we could all share in the award. I'd accept on your behalf, and it looks like we have about 365 people, so maybe everyone could borrow it one day in the coming year, and we'll share it. My husband Jim is not able to be here today, and he's so sorry about that. I have to thank him. He's put up with me for over 33 years. It's not easy when you're married to a high-energy type A person. He's a very patient and calm man. It's a little scary. Every year, the first thing on his Christmas list is dart gun. You know, that's not a good sign. I tell you, somehow I haven't bought it for him yet. Someone very special to me in the audience is my best friend of 30 years, Barbara Evers, in the back with the Boston Private Group. She has supported me through thick and thin. We've had many capers. We're kind of like Lucy and Ethel, except we're about a foot different in height. There's about a foot difference, and I've so appreciated that, Barbara, so much. My work husband, as I refer to her, anyone who knows the show Everybody Loves Raymond, there was a whole episode on that, is Gina Allhands. And I cannot say enough great things about her. We've worked together one place or another for 23 years. And you know, I love her like a daughter, but as I remind her constantly, I'm not old enough to be her mother, so let's just get that straight. I want to mention two other people here today. Carol Self from the Bureau, my right arm, 14 years she's been putting up with me, and Yolanda Bonilla, another old friend of 15 years. We have a hard-working team. And I want to acknowledge my board members. I am extremely fortunate to have a board that thinks big and says yes all the time, so that doesn't get any better than that. Also, I noticed today someone I hadn't seen in over 15 years, an old friend, Bob Linscheid, who's running the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce. Why don't you raise your hand, Bob? Bob. I just want to see him squirm. We've played many practical jokes on each other over the years that involve jumbotrons and everything else, so I just wanted to worry you a little bit by acknowledging you. You know, when you look at the list of past winners, I'm really in awe of these people. And last year was Bob Webster. If you don't know this man, in my opinion, I don't want to look at him or I'll cry, he walks on water. If you've ever worked with him, he is just the best. So to be in his company, people like T. Jack Foster, I mean, T. Jack Foster is an institution, so kudos to all of them. The amazing thing is I'm old enough to have met David D. Bohannon years ago. I was just a kid, not really, in my 20s. And I was struck by so many things about Mr. Bohannon, his vision. The man had such vision before anyone else did for this area, for San Mateo County. His integrity. His word was his bond. If he said something, that's the way it was. He was never behind the scenes, always above board. And what a generous man. And those traits have continued throughout the Bohannon generations. Frances Nelson, when she was alive, the Bohannons today, the whole Bohannon team, because they are a family. I defy anyone in this room to think of a time you've gone to the Bohannons for anything that they haven't found a way to say yes. I mean, they're incredibly generous, and it's just so great of them. And kind of modeling, actually, after David D. Bohannon, when our children were growing up, I always told them, you know, think big and make it happen. There are going to be problems, there will be obstacles, but you can do it. And you're going to find people who are negative, but it's easy to say no, and it's tougher to say yes, and it's tougher to get to yes, so find a way to say yes to people. Now, when our daughter was a teenager, I played down the say yes to people all the time point, but overall, I told them work to get to yes. So back to Mr. Bohannon. He understood that San Mateo County is paradise, and our team at the Bureau has the fantastic job of being able to sell paradise. We are so fortunate to be here and so lucky. He also understood the importance of pulling together, not apart. It's tough in our county. We have a lot of cities, but we're a strong entity as a county. SAMCEDA works on this every day. And I'm singing to the choir. The people here are the ones who get that. They understand we need to pull together. Oftentimes, we've heard in this forum and others, San Mateo County has no brand. Has anyone ever heard that? I thought about that for years. And to me, I think our brand is beauty and brains. We have incredible scenic beauty. We see it every day. We have the beauty of our diverse population, and we have the brains. Look at the winners here today. Look at our medical people, the biotech people. We have it all. We have beauty and brains, and people would kill to live here and open a business here. I think we should all take a page out of Mr. Bohannon's book and have pride in place, and it was ironic that Roseanne brought up the same thing today. We're not just a stop between San Francisco and San Jose. We are the best place in the world, and companies like this are headquartered here for that very reason. So being a part of SAMCEDA's efforts is an excellent start. And I have a little tip for you also. I think another step you can all take, some of you have heard me say this at the Progress Seminar, Think about when you're traveling, you're out of town, and someone says, "Where are you from anyway?" What do we say? Who said? Someone gave the right answer. Most people say, yeah, thank you, Greg. Most people, unfortunately, say San Francisco. No offense, Bob. But if we all start saying San Mateo County will create the identity that we need to create and will help to show our pride in where we live and do our work. So I thank you so much for this honor. It's such a pleasure to be here, and congratulations to all of you who are sharing in it today. Thank you.
Okay, some of you might be wondering why I'm holding a pink flamingo, because Arnie Croce could not be here today. Arnie is head of Peninsula Family Service Agency, former city manager in the city of San Mateo. He asked me if I'd be willing to indulge their sense of humor. Ann and Arnie, obviously, in the San Mateo Rotary have something going on with pink flamingos, so hence the pink flamingo.
I won't share this one, unfortunately. This is too special. We not only have Arnie and I passed pink flamingos back and forth on each other's lawns, but we welcomed a new city manager who shall remain nameless one day by decorating the entire city hall lawn with a set of pink flamingos. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Please join me one more time. Am I back up on the mic? Yeah. Okay. Please join me one more time in thanking all of our award winners today, our innovators, our Bohannon Award winner, for all of the wonderful things and will continue to do. Before everybody starts rushing out, just 30 seconds more. Please also join me in thanking Oracle for hosting today's event. And also to Roseanne Faust and Amanda Borsam and everyone else with SAMCEDA for putting on and all of the great work you do day in and day out. So thank you. And I want to invite you to come to two other events for us. In June, we will have our annual meeting. Details and information will be sent out as it gets a little bit closer. And then one of the ways we can do all the wonderful work is we have to do a little bit of fundraising. And so please join us for the second annual Birdies for Business on Monday, September 28th at the Peninsula Golf and Country Club. Great day of golf, lots of wonderful prizes, and best of all, great company. So thank you all for all you do every day. Have a good week and drive safely.